Yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you're watching us from. My name is David Lubuurwa, and I welcome you once again on this Saturday's Uganda at Crossroads, where we discuss issues that concern with the country, named or called, or whatever way you want to put it, Uganda. Main concern is how we want to see Uganda be shaped in the future, starting from today, the young generation, the old generation, or even those who are yet to come in future. So this week again, like we always discuss here, there are always stories that come up from different corners of Uganda, politically, economically, and we receive them in different ways. And our analysts here come up and break them down to see how best the country can maybe change some few things here and there. But most importantly, this month has been great for Parliament. It has been approving money after money after money for parliamentarians, for the president, for other things. However, the question that still stands, how about the education sector? We have seen teachers striking not to go back to schools to teach our fellow brothers and sisters. And the government hasn't come out clearly to explain why it hasn't put that money there to help the teachers or increase their payments. We've also seen security operatives living in poor conditions. I mean, that is very normal lately, or even we have seen it before, and it's still going to go on and on. What we saw last week was Bobby Wine staging up something in Parliament. We're yet to discuss that in today's Uganda at Crossroads. Join us again, and thank you so much. Share the page. Tell as many people as you know that Uganda at Crossroads is live right now. Thank you, guys. I want to thank the members who are already here on the panel tonight. Sarah, thank you for joining us again. And Richard, thank you for coming back again. You guys are doing a tremendous job. You've been following the stories, but we can't go straight away to the point without asking you how your week has been. So let me start with Sarah. Anything new this week for you?
There's always something interesting. If you're asking, are you asking something from my personal life or what?
I should sum it up. Personal and politically or economically, what have you seen?
Politically, everything is, every time we unfold off to a new week of drama or of shock, you're shocked at the things that happen in Uganda. It's always something new happening. So it's always interesting to come and sit here and be able to break down whatever is happening for our viewers.
All right, thank you so much, Richard. What happened last week? Was it full of fun?
Yeah, last week was good. This week has been good. I've been following the events that are happening in Uganda, and I think that things are going to be interesting as we analyze them today, and we see the way forward for this country so that we can get out of this political mess that we are in.
All right, thank you so much. So let me go straight away. One of the most important parts that happened last week, there was a launch of a new political party. And we're going to put much of our time on that. We want to dig deep into whether it's going to be effective or it's just going to be a way of doing things, you know, normal political parties we've seen so far. I want to start with Richard before I go to Sarah. Did you see, we saw the new formation transforming into Alliance for National Transformation with General Mugisha Muntu launching it. People made so many suggestions. People came up, gave us so many things. So I want to ask you a question, Richard. When you saw the launch, did you observe any new change that really you think is going to be important?
First of all, viewers that are listening to us tonight, I want to give my view on what is actually the political arena that is happening in Uganda, or what is happening in Uganda. First of all, it's a national alliance for transformation. So General Mugisha Muntu believes in the national, so that when we are analyzing that, we look at his political ideology for the country. Because as of now, does he believe in the current political system that is Marxism and decentralization, which has failed in Uganda, or does he believe in the federal structure that people are advocating it? Then we look at his alliance. That means that Uganda is failing because it doesn't have, people are not well organized. And then transformation. The reason why Uganda has failed to transform, first of all, is because of its political and economic system in the country. Because what has been happening in Uganda since independence, the political people that are in power with their political parties share the national cake. We look at Milton Obote, we look at Idi Amin, we look at Obote II, we look at Idi Amin, we look at Yoweri Museveni. So people that are in power get all the national cake and others are left out. Does General Mugisha believes that when he unites Uganda in the current political system, he shall unite Uganda? That's one of the way I look at General Mugisha Muntu. Because when a new party comes into scene, like the one of General Mugisha Muntu, who came from FDC, right. I'll give you an example, then I analyze between FDC, because Bobby Wine is going to use the political structures, which I believe is going to use of FDC as a candidate for presidency. That's the way I understand it. But if you look at General Mugisha Muntu, coming with his new political party, the National Alliance for Transformation, I'll go back to Dr. Kizza Besigye. When Dr. Kizza Besigye came here in a big town hall meeting in Waltham, and he came and said, you people in the diaspora, I need you to support me so that I can win presidency in Uganda.
Right.
Do you know what happened? I asked him, what do you believe in? Give us your political ideology in FDC, because you are trying to use the same structure that has failed of Museveni, and then you bring a new political party. And said, does your constitution believe in federalism in Uganda? He said, no. Then he changed it.
So we can add on that. Sarah, last week you saw General Mugisha Muntu launching his party with many other political organizations coming together and say, hey, this might be the real money we need. Did you sense anything in that?
But it was good he launched its political party, but Uganda's problem right now is not political parties. I wish every political player would understand it. We can launch as many as political parties we want and we need, but they're not going to change the situation in Uganda. What we need right now are people within political divides coming together and make sure they don't divide the opposition vote. Because you can have as many political parties as you want. The problem of Uganda is not people being organized in parties, because for the time political parties have been around, still nothing, we've not been able to kick out President Museveni, even with organized parties like DP. There's a time when FDC was super organized, DP, FDC, CP. You can imagine all these parties can choose to field a candidate, but still you won't take out Museveni. I think the most ideal thing, yes, we can, I saw so many people from different political divides being ceremonial and going and being part of whatever was happening. But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is people coming together to take out Museveni. We need the opposition, because the moment we continue having political parties dividing and coming up with different political parties, it worries, because the moment they keep organizing within their parties, it worries because those same parties might end up fielding a candidate, which you do not want. You don't want so many candidates coming from the opposition. You want one candidate who is going to represent the majority of Ugandans who want change, who are suffering, so that they are able to take out Museveni. Because all what you need is a block vote. You need huge numbers of people coming out to vote and take out Museveni. Maybe what I would expect from parties as they form and organize is they should get to the grassroots and preach the message of change, because in their own groups they can do a more maybe better role on the grassroots, not to recruit people into their parties, but they should get to the grassroots and start educating people about change. Why do we need change? Because as the urban and pre-urban people have understood, they want change. It is being really pressing on them. They see the situation going on in the country. But we still have our folks in the villages who still, they're comfortable. And they will need someone to talk to them and explain to them the need for change.
All right, so one of the things, sorry, before I leave you, one of the ladies who are there as keynote speakers from Kenya, a member of parliament from Kenya, she said, people power without structures is nothing.
She's getting it wrong. And Kenya has had a change of guards, change of presidents for a number of times. You've had, when I was young, there was Moi.
Right.
Was that Moi something?
Daniel Arap Moi.
Daniel Arap Moi when I was young. Then you had Kibaki coming on. Then you have now
the Kenyatta.
Kenyatta. But all the three presidents I'm talking about, it's still Museveni being in power. When you talk about structures, people need to understand that however much you want to structure, because if we start now evaluating taking over power with an issue of structures, let's look at how Museveni came into power. Museveni went to the bush. And in fact, Museveni going to the bush, it was after he didn't agree with the election that had taken place where Obote won. So Museveni going to the bush, he abandoned all the structural ways of going to court, because he would have gone, the most ideal thing for a man who has just lost an election would have been to go to court. And the court would rule out whether he's right or wrong. But Museveni went to the bush. So many Ugandans lost their lives. And they didn't lose their lives on the account of Obote. Because if such a situation happened, it is the rebel that he's killing because he wants to take over power, logically. So many Ugandans in Lubuurwa and all these other areas lost their lives because Museveni was greedy, or he wanted to take over power, he wasn't satisfied. So if Museveni, if I'm going to ask what structures did Museveni have to take over power, then he went back to, he did it in fact the most unruly, the most undemocratic way, was going back to the push, having Ugandans being killed, so many Ugandans being killed, and taking over about power as a rebel. Because he came to power as a rebel, guerrilla, rebel, yeah, and took over power. So if you're talking of structures, what structure did it mean? Some of these politicians who sit in offices and enjoy SC, sometimes they equate structures to buildings. If you say, oh, you must have an office in this part of the world, part of the country, an office in the other part of the country, still it does not make sense. Structures at this point, for example, where Uganda is, even in the chaos and unstructuredness, you can take on Museveni. Let's just go back to what has just happened in Southern Sudan. What structures did the people have to take out Bashir? It was, all it took them were people coming together and saying enough is enough. So in Uganda, if you begin at this point in time to structurize, to make everything formal, you're getting to nowhere, because the politics where we are right now in Uganda, you have a sitting president for 34 years who is not willing. There is no sign of Museveni leaving power. There is no sign, because you would think he's tired. The man at 75, he wants to act like a 25-year-old. The man at 25, he still feels he still has a lot of energy to take on maybe 20 or 50 years. So at this point in time, if you waste time in trying to restructure, it doesn't, because let's say this, for the last 20 years, FDC has been structuring. For the last 20 years, FDC has had structures, but it has not taken power. So that means that any formal way of doing things will not take out Museveni. In fact, Museveni has never had any pressure from any politician more than the pressure he has now. And what is disturbing him, he does not understand how things are working in people power, because there is no proper structure. There's no proper, because the structures having been there for the last 20 years of Dr. Besigye, of the DP, they've not helped us take out Museveni so much. I think he understands, ever since he came up with NRA, NRM, and then he structured, he understands how those things play. Now, the best way to take him out is having something he does not understand. He doesn't know who is who. Just like right now, you have so many activists talking on behalf of people power, which you do not have in NRM. You have so many people teaching one another what is supposed to be done. You have a lot of people who have taken out their time to educate the masses that indeed we need change. And you have so many, if I see so many video clips from villages, people, the old, the young people understanding the message. And it is coming from the informal, unstructured way of doing things that we are getting the message more across to the people. But if you're talking about having structures, having things to do with the buildings, to do with offices, it may not work at this point in time. But I want to conclude. But as we go on, definitely, like People Power, we got on a spokesperson. We needed someone formal. For example, some of these political debates happening, Bobi Wine was being spread so thin, or not even having enough time to prepare to go on these political shows. When you have a spokesperson, definitely he has a lot of time to prepare. First of all, Bobi Wine is an MP. At the same time, Dagos, as a founder, has to preach the message of People Power. So when you have someone who is able to take on either political shows or some of the meetings, then this other person has a lot of time to prepare and get ready for
Let me pull this together. I think I'll put it to Richard, and then I'll bring it back to you. Sorry again to the viewers. I said Kenya is supposed to be Tanzania. The lady Upendo, she's from Tanzania, not Kenya. But again, to the people who are watching us, we ask you to send in your comments. We are going to be following them as much as we can. Our technical team is doing a great job on sending them to me, so I'll be posting them to these guys. But most importantly, let me come back to you, Richard. This is what she said. In her party, Chadema party in Tanzania, they've had strong candidates, but they failed to win elections simply because they never had enough polling agents, enough candidates, or even members to get their votes. And that's what we see. We see People Power having a great force, young people support it, but how will they be in position to protect the vote when that time comes?
Let me tell you, the way I will answer you very well and the viewers. The issue of Tanzania and Uganda, they are totally different. I've been to Tanzania myself in what they call Chama cha Mapinduzi, the way they structured their political system in communism that transformed later. I've been there. But let me tell you, what is happening with People Power today is going to be like the one that was in Lubuurwa, the protected war of the people. It's the people that are fighting their way to take over the government on behalf of the People Power themselves. That means every person, I'll give you an example. In 1980, I voted. I was a very young man. I voted myself. They took us from our houses and they told us to go and vote. We are registered as a young man and voted. But do you know what happened? In 1980, they told us that as soon as you finish to vote, just go on the other side and wait and protect your votes. Because in our constituency, the Campfire South constituency where we were, whereas this woman called I'll remember and tell it her to you. They were always armed. They were always threatening people with Sebana Kizito. Sebana Kizito was our candidate in that area. When it came to 6 p.m. in the evening, they brought the Land Rovers of the police by then and the army, and they said they are taking the votes to Kisugu. The people said, no, you're not taking our votes, because we were so sure that Obote was going to rig the elections. The people brought firewood and said, no, bring the ballot boxes and put them outside. We waited for all the night because it was our own votes that we were protecting and our own future, because Obote had come to kill the people. In the morning, the votes were counted, untouched, and DP, we saw our area, DP winning all Kampala. Then the votes were rigged by Paulo Mwanga. I think you remember those stories. I was there, I saw how it happened. Where Paulo Mwanga went to Dr. Semoga and said, you have won the election. What are you going to give me? So the same is going to happen this time into Uganda. That the people are going to come out and protect their own votes. Whatever means of cheating is going to use is going to fail. What is going to happen in Uganda is violence, that people have been cheated. I think the way it's going to play today or tomorrow in People's Power Revolution is that people are going to win. What we are looking for is what will happen if the votes are cheated or are stolen.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very important to hear from you guys ideas about how these organizations are going to be operating. But let's go back to the real issue. We saw Bobi Wine, Nobati Mao coming together. Was that a sign that now maybe they're coming up with a new bloc. We have the DP bloc. We have the People's Government bloc. So is there going to be a new bloc coming up? And most important part is, if Bobby Wine doesn't stand as a president, will Besigye do? If Besigye doesn't stand, will Mugisha Muntu do? Do you see any future, Sarah, that these people can come together and choose one person to represent them? Because all of them are power hungry, you know that.
At this point in time, they have no option. They all, as political leaders, they owe it to Ugandans to come together. Because we are tired of dividing the opposition vote. It is, as much as they run on the ballot paper, they expect votes to come from voters. So they owe us, all political figures, owe us, they owe us choosing one candidate who is stronger. And they know it. They know, definitely among them, they know who is stronger, who is not. They need to look at who has the popular vote right now. Who do people stand with? Who do people want? They owe us that, to stand behind one person. It does not make any sense for us to have Besigye, to have Mugisha Muntu, to have Bobby Wine, to have Norbert Mao on the ballot paper against Museveni. Still, we are going to get back to the same thing. You're dividing a vote that would have been a block vote. They owe us that, so we expect all of them to do what is right. Either it's Mugisha Muntu, I do not, because everyone wants to be a president, everyone wants to be a leader, but at the same time, they should look at the majority of Ugandans who have been suffering, because whatever happens impacts on Ugandans. It is majority of them who do not get the services. Some of these political leaders, when they fall sick, you see, they travel abroad. Majority of Ugandans can't afford to travel abroad. Some of them have kids studying from USA, from all these countries. Their children have not gotten a chance. In fact, if you ask their children what is happening in Uganda, they may not be able to give you a full account because they do not know. They've not lived in the situation of an average Ugandan. So they owe us that. We are not, as voters in Uganda, voters are not ready to play any more games of having the votes divided, of having opposition leaders bickering on who wants to be on the ballot paper. The selfishness has to be put aside. We want one leader, and we are interested in winning a block vote against Museveni.
All right, thank you so much. Richard, do you want to add on something on that?
Yes.
Before
I want to add on something very important here. Because when I saw Mao, one of the charismatic leaders in Uganda of DP, with Yoweri Kaguta Museveni these days in Uganda in these iPod conferences, I think what is going to happen, I hope he doesn't make the mistake of Dr. Kawanga Semoge in 1980, because I think what Museveni is going to do right now to weaken the opposition is to give them a piece of the government in the iPod. And I think Mao is going to swallow that on behalf of DP, exactly as Semoge did in 1980. Because the way Semoge lost the popularity of the people in Uganda and support was for him to go and work together with Obote into the same parliament where he had been cheated. I think if Mao swallows this bite of Mr. Museveni, Museveni is going to use that to weaken the opposition.
Talking of the iPod, let me chip in a little bit. Talking of the iPod, you see what I see. I was reading the post by Bobby Wine where he says you cannot want people to come and sit together and discuss when you can't allow them to breathe. What is happening in the political space of Uganda is Museveni is entirely behaving like. Did you read the Animal Farm? Where all animals were equal, but some animals were equal than others. Some animals had
always compared to.
Yes, some animals had the privilege of sleeping in beds with mattresses and bed sheets and all clean, and others were sleeping in grass and dens like any other. You cannot in the political space of Uganda where political opposition figures are being persecuted. They are not even allowed to assemble. They are not even allowed to conduct business. What I don't understand is the people who are going, the opposition leaders who are going into these iPod meetings, what is their agenda? Are they going for per diem? Because I wouldn't, literally speaking, I wouldn't sit down with Museveni at this point in time. Why are they sitting down with someone who has suffocated them for a long time? Because what are you negotiating for? Are you talking to him to leave power? What are you discussing at this point in time? I don't see why we have the likes of Mau. The first time I saw Jem, I know they are having another iPod meeting coming up. Unless they go to this iPod meeting, clearly telling Seven that, you know what, enough is enough. Work out a strategy or work out a way of you stepping down or you giving out power to either some other person or you seeing that Uganda gets a peaceful transition without spilling blood. There is no negotiation. Why are they negotiating with Museveni? There is no reason why they are sitting on the same table at this point in time, because your hands, you are handcuffed. You're handcuffed. You're not allowed to do anything. And then you're negotiating with someone who openly campaigns. You're negotiating with someone who does not even allow you to say what. You say something, you put in jail.
Last weekend we had Honorable Nambozi here, and we talked about some things before we went on air regarding with FDC missing that iPod thing. The question that comes to my mind is, if FDC missed it and the discussion was about how much money they have to fund all other political parties, how they can equally engage in political decisions, and then one political party misses, and then it will continue taking the money from the government. Does that make sense to you guys?
They don't have to meet. FDC doesn't have to be there because even prior to 2016, there were meetings. I don't know if you're thinking of that. What did they come out? What came out of the meetings? It was nothing. So it's I think Museveni is these guys. They're very intelligent people. I don't want to look at Mao as someone I would call unintelligent. He's a very intelligent man. Some of the people who go and sit in iPod, they were in the same iPod meetings before 2016.
And Mao stands to be the chairman of the iPod.
But nothing came out of them. Why are you still negotiating and discussing stuff with a dictator who does not give you any freedom to breathe? What is happening is holding their nose and is not even allowing you to breathe, but you still want to negotiate with him. Why are you negotiating with the dictator?
All right. Richard?
Yes.
So added something?
Yes. So for me, what I saw that Mao said was so stupid. You forgive my language. He said that what they negotiated was to loosen in the public order management bill.
Right. Something that the opposition is demanding.
Yes, but the public order management bill is where Museveni has suffocated the country into mass mobilization and communication to the masses. And you tell him that his tool that is working right now, you tell him to take it away on behalf of you so that you have a same leverage in campaigns and everything. He will not take it out. They said go to the parliament and have that law changed. It will not work. It will not work. I think what is going to happen from that meeting is Museveni is trying to bring some members of the opposition into a buy, because Besigye said after his alliance with the people power, he said, now I don't need it anymore because we are winning here. Why should we negotiate? You are halfway the time and you are going. Why should we negotiate that you give us a bite to swallow so that we lose credibility in the population? I think Besigye was so smart to tell his FDC not to go in.
All right, so but with that, before we leave the topic, I want to finalize with this. Will that stop FDC from receiving money that it has been getting from the government? Will they come and boycott the money too, or it's just mere self saying we are missing the discussions, but we still need the money? Will that make any difference to you guys?
Whether they receive the money or not, let's look at the bigger picture. What is going to be yielded from these discussions? It is not the first time these discussions have been happening, and we stopped at having just discussions and people taking per diem home and people posing in pictures and they circulate on social media. Nothing is going to yield. Because the issue is whether they are given money or not, whether they eat it. After all, the other also side people eat the money. We want to know what is going to come out of this iPod summit. But the fact that we've been disappointed before, that nothing good has come out of the prior to 2016, the prior to 2006 or something, before the elections before, it is one way of wasting time and taking us from very valuable things. I only could wish that right now DP, the time they are spending in these iPod summits, they would use it to do mobilization. I liked one of the things they were doing last year when I saw DP going around the country and unifying its members and, you know, bringing back the youth in DP, talking to them. That was a very good, whatever they were doing was very good because it was energizing its members in DP, and they used also that to reach the common people and talk to them about. I saw Bobi Wine used to engage in also these meetings and talk about change and talk about. That was very good. Right now in IPOD, they are wasting time. They are wasting time. I don't see why any political figure is into this IPOD because they know very well nothing is going to come out of it. So I wonder why they keep going there. Nothing's going to come out of it.
All right, thank you. So, you know, it's very interesting now that you guys don't agree or disagree with the iPod thing. We have another motion about a discussion. Bobi Wine tries to move a motion, or is proposing to move a motion to increase the payments or the livelihoods of security organizations, police officers, the army officers, and all that. And then army officers come out to say, no, that's not true. We are okay. We don't need any assistance. Sarah, when you landed on that information, did it change anything in you?
It's really so absurd. I wanted to be sure because I was trying to scroll through the internet to know exactly who made that assertion from the army. And if I'm not mistaken, it has to be someone who is comfortable living in a mansion that looks like a state house, someone driving cars in AC, someone sitting in an office with AC. But the common police officer who sleeps in these innipots, who sleeps like a dog, who eats so poorly, who is having a salary of 250,000 shillings a month, yet they have families, kids that are going on university, would not even say a thing about them being properly given a better salary. Because we know very well the state. His argument was maybe because the police officers are badly, paid. That's why sometimes they behave the way they behave. And I would totally get that because I would just imagine they are given orders to go on duty and, stop these protests and whatever is happening. But these guys, some of them come to duty when they haven't eaten. They have wives in hospitals. Because whatever Ugandans go through, they eat, collectively. The police officers go to the same hospitals with the normal Ugandans. They don't have any special treatment. Their kids study from the same schools as the normal Ugandans. If you see, for example, I've seen the school in Lubuurwa prisons. It's a UPE school, and it's a third grade school. It produces some of the worst students that come out. They come out and they cannot even express themselves. So I think whoever took the mandate to speak on behalf of the army and the policemen is selfish, but we all know they are in a dire state. We've seen where they stay. They stay in terrible inputs. They are paid the least amount of money. They are paid about 200,000, 300,000 a month. And they are suffering like any other Ugandan. So really, it is so selfish to start fighting that in parliament when really the policemen need a better payment. Because for him to come out, whoever said that, don't speak for the masses. There are so many policemen and women in uniform who want to have a better pay. It's like someone coming up and saying, oh, no, don't speak for the teachers. The teachers are doing okay. The teachers are not doing okay. They are earning money. Most teachers are earning either $100 and below. They are not okay. So if you're comfortable in your mansion, in your AC, don't think that all the rest are comfortable. Just like you see, I have seen some of the Ugandan politicians who live in mansions who have forgotten, they're so detached from what is happening on ground. And because they sleep in all these big mansions, they forget that there are some Ugandans who sleep on the streets. So they forget there are some Ugandans, like the majority in Lusanja, who are displaced.
So, yeah, Richard, there is an argument that Bobi Wine is just seeking for police sympathy so that, they can give him a leeway to do whatever they want to do. Because the question that stands is, why haven't we seen police officers or army officers coming on streets to strike? That means they're living a comfortable life.
Let me tell you, viewers, this Bobi Wine is a very clever man, and I think he's gone to rural Uganda. Let me tell you, because he's so clever, this man is so clever. Museveni has been in power with two things: the security. The army is his, and the police is his. You see, there's two political thinkers in the world, the Eastern democracy and the Western democracy. So the reason, part of the reason that I like Bobi Wine is because he's trying to bring, and he's going to bring Uganda back to the Western democracy, like America, like Britain. So in the Eastern democracy, the leader, the dictators, like China, like Soviet Union, they own the police, they own the army. And inside, the way they do it, they have what they call political commissars, national political commissars, and intelligence. Their job is to see who is not on their side. So most of these people that have been in the police and the army have been suffering for so long. But they cannot talk. The moment you talk about issues and this national political commissar sees you, you're gone. That's why they haven't talked. You say the reason why they haven't talked for so many years.
Yeah, because police, I mean, we haven't seen any strikes
yes,
from police.
You want your job? Keep your mouth shut. You could be purged. I don't know if people know what they call purging. You could be killed for speaking out because you are against the policies of the government, because the army and the police are now Museveni's tool. And this man to come out and talk, you saw how this Brigadier Kiremire said? He panicked because the man had touched on the button that has been keeping the president as a dictator in power. And now they're panicking because they know what is inside.
Now, you know, just to chip in from on what you're saying, you saw what happened when Kirumira came out to start exposing the rot in the police.
Yes.
The guy is no more. He was murdered by the very own who would have protected him.
Yes. So I think it's very interesting because the way the war is going to be, because at the end of the day, the army is going to be divided into two, because the way they divided it, there's a special force command that eat all the fat of the land, and there's the regular army that is suffering, and then there's the police that are suffering. So we are watching what will happen after the election has been reached. What will happen? I think what is going to happen is that the Special Force Command is going to fight with the regular army and the police because they are so tired. Look, this man is fighting for us. We better support him. I think that was the strategy that he was laying to say that you people, you better support me. You look at the last elections. There are certain barracks where Besigye won 100%.
Most of them. Most
yes.
of the barracks.
How did it happen?
Even Machindia barracks, he won.
But what was the point? Because at the end of the day, the army didn't come out to support him.
Yeah, because there was not enough uprising on the street.
I think the army, what it is waiting for, first of all, just like you said, the strategy Bobi has is really good. But the army is waiting for Ugandans, just like if you see all these uprisings that have happened in different countries, if you watch them closely, like the one in Tunisia, then you see the one in Egypt, in Sudan. The army did not come out immediately. When people came out in huge numbers, now instead of the army taking on orders to disperse them and kill them, they started, liaising with them and protecting them. So one, it's going to take Ugandans some bit of strength to say enough is enough. Because when I look at the numbers the army are told to disperse, when the army or the police come out, they are dispersing very few people. But just imagine 1 million Ugandans came out. They're not going to kill all the 1 million Ugandans. They're not. They will kill, let's say, 10,000, but they will not kill the 1 million. So, this is not going to take the police, because if you see what happens, for example, if you see what happened in Southern Sudan, you mean the army was not comfortable for them to make the decisions they made at the end, where they had to take over and then started protecting the people, and instead of shooting them, they started standing with them. They were not happy as well. But then, when the masses are standing out in huge numbers, then you have an excuse to stand with them.
All right, thank you. So it's very important that way. Last week we had Horembu Numbers in the house. And it's just a side way of discussion for what we talk about. Bobi Wine has always been seen as a complainant. Every time he's complaining about something, He at one time complained that his businesses are down, and Dr. Besigye now gave an example of the gas station. Last weekend, Honorable Namboza mentioned something that was very interesting to our ears because we hadn't had it before. He has a gas station. Why doesn't he come out clearly to tell the public what is right than just hiding around?
You say, I've never seen anywhere, and I want anyone to quote me wrong. I've not seen anywhere where Bobby Wine has quoted saying that Dr. Besigye's businesses are operating. I have not seen anywhere. But you see, sometimes because you have so many angry, disgruntled Ugandans, when they say things, I don't know why it is assumed Bobby Wine has said. Ugandans know what is happening and they see. So that's why you should not assume. And it's not only Bobby Wine who is disgruntled. In fact, Bobby Wine, because he's fighting for Uganda, Bobby Wine comes from a class of people who had worked their way to the top and were comfortable. Bobby Wine just moved away from his luxury, coming and, moving from, he had his businesses going right, and he's fighting for people who are less privileged than him. He had worked his way to the top, minus, he doesn't have any doubt of being funded by government or eating from, you've seen so many musicians who have been sleeping in bed with President Museveni. Bobby Wine doesn't have that on his name. So what I do not understand, Bobby Wine has never, I want someone, or if you're commenting here on social media, to just remind me, maybe I've forgotten. I have not seen anywhere, whether verbal or written, that Bobby Wine has commented on the businesses of Dr. Besigye. He has never at any one moment done that. Why? Because I don't think, one, it would make sense for Bobby Wine to start even discussing businesses of Dr. Besigye. Bobby Wine's businesses have been clamped, but he has never talked about Dr. Besigye's businesses. I think numbers were thrown in a place that was between a Hard Rock. And someone in the audience threw him that question, and then boom, he jumped onto the fact that Bobby Wine had a petrol station. And I saw what happened on social media. Everyone was tearing her apart. Every person who would hold a bone or a piece of hair or the eye, people were eating her apart of the statement she had mentioned. And I see people sometimes go back and throw it to Bobby Wine. Oh, why doesn't he come out and clarify? How many things is he gonna come out and clarify? I remember at one point in time they said his son was gay. Even one of the newspaper came and published it. How so many, I think Bobby Wine has so many bigger issues to address than to address every simple thing is gonna be talked about. There are so many things. The other time they said his wife has a diplomatic passport. Should we have Bobby Wine come out? He's going to become a sissy. He's going to become like a woman who has nothing to focus on but focuses on every little thing that is said about. But the good thing he has an army of people who are desperate for change who would come out and address these things. Though sometimes I don't like the way such issues are addressed, because people become so abusive. And there is a level of abusive. For me, when it becomes obscene, it just throws me off. Because Numbers is one of you. Like it or not. Numbers has been he has been in the opposition as much as I remember. I remember when she used to sit on political debates. In fact, when she was on this show, I was telling someone Numbers has crafted the game. I remember way back when I was young and listening to her, she wasn't even articulate. She would struggle to put her words across, as in she didn't have a very good command of
political terms.
Not even political terms, of the English language. Her Luganda dialect was too strong, but you see now she has crafted her game. She has a lot of composure. So as much as, okay, we are going to be bitter and say, oh, Numbers, why are you choosing Bobby Wine? I think I would pray for.
But let me ask you a question.
Let's stop being.
Let me ask you a question.
We can be abusive. Let's stop being vulgar.
Is it true that Bobby Wine has a gas station?
I've not heard from Bobby Wine.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
But so many of people who support Bobby Wine and those close to him I've talked to, they said that was a blatant lie. He doesn't have any petrol station. But again, you must understand, these politicians are liars. In terms of Numbers, they could have been thrown in a situation where she wanted to come out of it, and she throws something that is going to be burning for the whole week on social media. You've seen how sometimes they are reluctant with their statements, and now they cause fire. Basically, they throw a lighting match in a burning bush, in a bush that is already ready to spark a fire, and then it goes. I do not know whether she was ready to say what she said. I do not know whether she had a rumor. I do not, maybe she had a rumor or she wasn't even ready to say what she said. But yes, people came out for her. I've seen activists that abused her, and people really, really went deeply for her. But what I'm still praying for, and I don't like, the obscenity is, yes, we can still abuse someone minus getting obscene. Seriously, guys, you're abusing a mother. This is a lady, this is a woman, this is a mother. When sometimes I saw posts on social media that were really, really so vulgar, and I got goose pimples. Sometimes it's too much, and it's uncalled for. We could have called her out, minus, because one, if she cannot bring any proof, she cannot give us the direction, she cannot give us where the petrol station is, but we cannot be too vulgar.
All right, so
it does not help the cause. Yeah, I am sorry, guys, but for me, it's
could that be the reason? I mean,
you know, vulgarity is so, it tastes terrible to me. You know, when people, it must have a limit. All right, somewhere people should stop.
Yeah, that was just a side talk about gas station with Bobby Wine. So let's get back to business.
Let me tell you, viewers. For me, I do propaganda very well, and I know how it started. It all started by Tamale Miround. When it saw Bobby Wine coming up, because the two political blocks that are making the political destiny for the country now is Uganda and the Western. So when he saw Besigye, because Besigye can command very well in the Western part, bring them on board, plus Bobby Wine, part of it, can bring it on board. But for a total victory for 90% in the coming election block to support Bobby Wine to take over the president of Uganda, Tamale Mirondi had to divide. He had to hit at Besigye. He said Besigye is a more. Since even that's what Namboza said, since did Tamale Mirondi support or say that Besigye is a more for the president? It has never happened. The way he did it was saying that, look, why did the petrol station for Dr. Kizza Besigye are untouched? They are not even in his names for your own sake. They are not even in his name. Even Honorable Chagwai might be having that gas station, but because of the current political situation that is in Uganda, it might be even in someone's other names, so that to protect the business, to keep it going. So the way this thing is happening now, that Tamale Mirondi has failed. You see how he has stand now? Now he's saying that the best candidate for this area is Mugisha Muntu. Now he has crossed over, because where he has been hitting, that Kizza Besigye's business is untouched, is now failing because the two have merged. That means they are taking the western side. Now it's bringing someone else from the western side and says, look, our best candidate now is Mugisha Muntu. I know the way he's playing the propaganda, but he's failing.
Okay.
And politics is largely, it comprises of so many things, but you must know there's propaganda and blackmail will always be there, but at the same time sometimes we blackmail and carry on the propaganda and not to our own, because we believe in the same thing. We all want change, but the propaganda must be there. But at the same time, I must say it is not right to make assumptions or accusations that are not right, especially for Namboze. Definitely, if Bobby Wine has a petrol station, Bobby Wine has mastered, in a very short time, he has mastered the game. He's too smart that he does not give attention, or he does not answer back to things that are irrelevant. Because now just imagine if Bobby Wine had come up with a post to explain that he has he has a petrol station and it is going and it is well. He does not explain that. Just like there are so many things he's been accused of, and you've never seen him come out and explain. He only wants to focus on the bigger things. The good thing is he has an army that are willing to eat and tear whoever makes an assumption, whether it's right or not. And sometimes I believe Bobby Wine sits back and even laughs. Because some of these things, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, people can be really, really crazy. So, but that's part of politics. You must have not everything as him in the position where he is right now. He's not in a position to start discussing and explaining everything. Whoever is expecting Bobby Wine to come up and say, oh, Namboze was right to have a petrol station, whoever, no, he's not. Forget. I think he's too smart for that. He has gone beyond that level of not paying attention to small minor things that derive him from the bigger goal.
All right, thank you. So getting back That was just a side talk about Bobby Wine's gas station and getting back to the real issues. Now, Parliament yesterday approved 40.48 trillion without debate. It's constitutional that they always have to debate about the money they're approving as the budget for the next year. But this time, nothing happened. Does that make Parliament to be a stronger organization that doesn't follow the law? Or does it make it a strong organization that now they don't have time to discuss certain things like this lump sum amount of money, 40.48 trillion Ugandan shillings, I believe, that are going to be spent in the next coming budget 2019-2020. What comes into your minds, guys? Because very soon the minister responsible for that will be issuing out the budget to the public. What comes into your minds, Richard?
You see, part of the struggle that we are here is to educate people an alternative. The way the political system is being set up in Uganda in the current constitution, Parliament has all the power, side power, to debate such issues. But before they debate, they have to go to State House. Who is going to oppose if you are NRM and you have a majority into as an NRM into the State House? Are you going to oppose it? You're going to be kicked out, or you're not going to be supported because you're against the political agenda of the current regime into government. So the way forward to stop these things, even we mentioned it last time when Honorable Numbers was here, is to do the Congress of like Uganda, the way you see the Congress of the United States, where there's a check and balance. You'll never stop this type of stupidity being done in Uganda that is affecting millions and millions of us people when you have such a things. Because if you are against the government, you'll be kicked out. You'll be kicked out. You have to, the moment they come up with something, you have to support it. Because at the end of the day, some of the members of the parliament, they have a hidden bread inside there. They are going to get some of the money that is there. So what do you think they are going to do? They are going to support it 100%.
All right, so this time we are seeing some improvement, Sarah. They are approving because the works and transport sector is going to have more money from $4.7 trillion to $6.4 trillion. We are also seeing in education from 2.7 to 3.2. That's a milestone moved by the government of Uganda.
But you see, the problem is, what does this money do? You're saying the transport sector has been, roads has been, given more money.
More money, right?
But then we have most of the roads that are are built on loans gotten from China, from World Bank, from African Development Bank. So why are we having these organizations building roads for us and moreover loan to us if we are approving such major budgets with such amounts of money? So it was really confusing why we are giving out so much money and then we're still taking out loans to build these roads. Because if you look at, for example, let me take you to Lira. The roads, most of the roads in Lira and Lira Market was built by donor, by loans.
Donor funds, right?
Yes, of which Ugandans are supposed to pay back. So the excitement of Ugandans saying, "Oh, we have these roads," should be short-lived because we are supposed to pay back that money. So, but budgets have been read now and again, but what we lack, I think, in Uganda is accountability of the money is given to whatever ministries receive this money. Because the next thing you hear, this amount of money was stolen from this ministry, and prior to reading the next, I think even every 6 months we should have an evaluation of what the money, how far the ministry has gone and what have they done. Because what we see is reading a budget and coming back reading another budget. For example, they approved, they've approved the 33 billion to the president's office, where 17 billion is going to Museveni.
Help him in the 2 weeks travel around
2 weeks
the country.
travel, and then there's another 15 point something million that is classified expenditure. So basically, Parliament, that's why you see now and again it has been said Parliament is a rubber stamp of government, because it's a rubber stamp of Museveni, not even government. Parliament is owned by NRM and owned by Museveni. Because Museveni has been given money to campaign by Parliament. Even the most dumbest human being can see it. Parliament has approved money for Museveni to go and start his presidential campaigns in the areas of northern Uganda and eastern Uganda. Museveni is on a campaign trail, but the money is coming from the taxpayers' money. And it's so sudden, you know, I see all the time when NRM is proud of, oh, we have structures, we have a party. I think the word NRM and the party only happens when they're in Chankwanzi, but it's more or less a dead party like the rest of the parties they are complaining about. Because I've never seen NRM as a party should be fundraising. They should be fundraising. They should be getting their own funds as a party. But if you look at it closely, all the money Museveni uses to fundraise or to facilitate his campaigns come from the state. You saw the last 2016, almost URA was drowned. It was almost left empty because all the money went into the presidential campaign. By the time we came out of 2016, Uganda was, if it was a cow, it should have collapsed down and died.
All right.
So it is so evident that NRM does not cease to exist. It only happens when you see people wearing yellow, that is NRM. When you see them in Chankwas, that is NRM. But the structures, them claiming they're in power and they have proper structures, they should be fundraising through its members. Right. They should be fundraising, getting their own money, lobbying from its members who are in Uganda abroad and getting money to do their campaigns. But 17 billion is going to facilitate Museveni for 2 weeks. I'm telling you, and we do not have a cancer machine, and Museveni is going to go around the country. All people will need transport back home. Why are you've been president for 34 years. If you really done good and people love you, why are you paying back people transport? People should come to see you just because they love the things you've done. Why are you facilitating them?
Sure. All right, thank you so much for the members who are watching us from Campfire TV USA and those who are watching us online on LifeM TV live. Thank you so much. Keep sharing, keep sending in your comments. Send us what you think about your political climate in the country where you are, if you were in Europe or other areas, how you are affected. We are here to receive all that information. And we want to thank you so much for always being part of Campfire TV and LifeM TV online. Richard, I want to come back to you regarding the same budget issue. What's important here, the president recently was launching a new ICT system in some districts far from Kampala. And we appreciate it. He said internet is very vital in the economy to develop. And he was really so interesting when he made those statements. However, the problem is when you look at the budget for 2019-2020, we see ICT was one of those sectors that were given less money. It was given 123 billion. And on top of that, when you add science and technology, it was given 159 billion. Does that make these sectors to be less relevant as compared to what the world is now receiving today? Because, you know, everyone is using Facebook and other platforms. What comes into your minds when you see such a scenario? If you have a country where electricity to this day is just reaching there, some of the houses may not, for the current regime, the way it is running the country, you might not receive electricity in the next 50 years. I'm telling you. So the reason why they are receiving less, they are not caring about the people or the country. They are caring about themselves staying into power forever. That's why they are doing all this. That's why they are so worried to get out of power that they don't even spend where things are needed to be put. Like that. What do you think they are doing? Tebafaayo, kachogera mutuga tebafaayo. Ebifaayo lubuto lwabwe bafunamu batya sente. Ebisigadde by'eggwanga nti amasomero tegayina. Look at Rwanda, for example. Look at Rwanda. I was looking at Rwanda. Children in Rwanda now are on iPad in Rwanda. Because it's everywhere. The internet is everywhere. But in Uganda, how many even teachers
know how to use an iPad?
Know how to use an iPad in Uganda? You think they care? At least Kagame has done something. I see it. So I think they have to. All right. So yeah. So Sarah, are you adding on anything before we close the show? Because most importantly, when you look at how this money was allocated, we are talking about tourism. We have seen Miss Cavies and all other organizations coming up, but still the government is reducing the amount of money which was supposed to be added, my opinion, to increase the, you know, the amount of money given to these sectors. Tourism is given 157 billion Uganda shillings. Social development, 218 billion Uganda shillings. Lands and housing, 193 billion. We are seeing people's land being grabbed. I expected the government to increase some money to these commissions that run all these projects. Nothing was done.
For example, when you look at tourism, first of all, they're spending money in the wrong places. Like Miss Covey was a total fail. I don't know what they heard, what really was going through their minds. You saw even recently the owner, the car that was given to the winner was a car that wasn't fully paid by the organization, by whoever was running Miss Covey. The guy had to pull out the car from the event and take it back, and he was, you know, he was coming after them for damages done to his car. So organization, Miss Covey was a fail, and I wonder why they had to spend money. Look at all the campaigns.
But that was supported by the president.
Museveni will support anything so long as he assumes it's going to take attention from him, and then Ugandans are going to focus on something else. Because he knows Ugandans are so depressed that when you come up with something like Miss Covey, then Ugandans are going to be focusing on people's bums, sorry to say, and take off anything that will take off focus from Museveni even for a second. It gives him a breather. I remember when the Miss Covey buzz came on, everyone saw Miss Covey, Miss Covey. People forgot even for a second Museveni was president. Right. Ugandans almost forgot that they wanted Museveni to go. So everyone on social media, they were Miss Covey, Miss Covey, Miss Covey. Museveni was like, oh my God, thank God. I think that's how he felt. So he approves all stupid, crazy things we've seen before. And we shouldn't be shocked that he approved Miss Covey. If it's something that's going to take attention from him, it will make a lot of sense. But let's look at teachers and university lecturers who have been begging for a pay rise for the last 5 so years, even before. How many times have they put down their tools? Nothing has been done. Even in this budget, they've not given them money they're asking for. But you're still producing half-baked, you know, when you compare how schools are performing, almost all the government schools that are the traditional government schools under UPE are almost dead. That's what you're having. You cannot, you do not produce what you call standard. When you compare to people who studied before UPE, those were cream students. Those were cream students compared to most of them who are going through UPE now, where teachers come to class.
Yeah, but this year there was an increase of $5 trillion compared to last year's 2.7. So
yeah, but still, you know, let's put money in places where it is really needed. We've had teachers crying for the last 5 years for an increment. They have every right to be given an increment. I come from a family where I have my sisters are teachers, and I know how much they earn, and I know their responsibilities. I know they have students in university. One of my nieces is studying from abroad, and my sister, when I tell you my sister's salary, you'll even cry. It is terrible. We have to go in our pockets to help her finance the education of her son who is studying from abroad. So it is really, it doesn't give these teachers a better pay. Because when you keep saying that a teacher's salaries, because the issue is what they're saying, oh, education has been added this money. But that's the major issue that teachers have been crying about. It is increment of their salaries so that they can go to classes and give the knowledge and wisdom when they are happy. Teachers are not getting that. So when you're saying you increased the educational budget by this amount, what does that money do? Where does that money go? Because you fail to allocate money to the most vital things, because teachers have been crying for a while. Why don't you allocate and say, okay, we've put let's say 2.5 billion to teachers' salaries, because that's what they want to hear. When you increase money, because even last year they added money to the education sector, but up to this time we do not know where the money went. We don't have accountability of that money. Yet the teachers have been open and have openly said, we want an increment in our salaries. We've been getting the same amount of money for the last 10 years. We need, and the cost of living are going high. And it's so sad that members of parliament who allow these budgets to be approved have just increased their money by 40%. And they want the taxpayers to pay for them for OTT. So it's really sad that they don't even feel for these teachers.
All right, sure. Richard, you want to go on, and then I want to finish up with a new comment that just came in just a couple of minutes ago about Ndagamuntu. So you want to add on something with that?
Yeah, let me tell you, viewers that are listening to this tonight and are going to listen to it. The way forward for our country is for us Ugandans, most cases who are in the developed world, like the diaspora, to come out together and form a blueprint for a new Uganda, or how we want Uganda to be. Because at this very moment, nina chogana mu Uganda, nabadde ntunuulira ku YouTube the state of Israel after Second World War, what they call settlements, when the Jews were coming out of Holocaust and we were giving them new homelands, the way they looked like in after Second World War, 1948. Then I looked at this Buddha landslide. If you looked at the houses they have built for these people into Uganda in 2019, today, and I saw the budget to do that, and I said, look, unless we are dreaming of Uganda that is not there to come and forever, if we don't come out now and produce a blueprint for a Uganda that we want to be, these people that are running the government now are so old, outdated with ideas. That's why we need people who are to take over government now, not tomorrow. And we have to support them and produce a blueprint for the country, for them, and show them that this how it should be. If you're going to build a settlement for Bududa, the way it is, if you saw it, you'd even cry. All
right. So, sure. So, guys, as we close the show, one important thing is we have just learned from actually one of the people who are commenting here that the government is no longer giving out national IDs to the young people. We're not sure how true that is, but more information, if you have more information about this, we are going to dig deep, and probably next Saturday when we come back, we'll be giving you full details. We are going to send out our team to dig deep to find out why the government of Uganda is not giving out national IDs to the young people. Of course, Sarah, I know you guys have something to say about that. Whether it's true or wrong, what is your view as we close?
Ndagamuntu are being given out, but you must have money. If you have 200,000, you'll get a Ndagamuntu. It has been commercialized. Maybe you went to get it without money. They are charging it. Normally they charge 80,000. But if you get there and you have 300,000, you'll get a Ndagamuntu, and the one of 80 will not get it. So we have to pray. It's a rotten state. So
it's some kind of what we see with the passport department, that one who has big money will get the services as fast as possible.
If you have 300,000, 400,000, if you have 200,000, you'll get it. Because a guy will make 120 of the 80 that is supposed to go in the government coffers, so they will get it.
All right, so guys, I want to thank you so much. Richard, I want to thank you so much. Your final say, if you have, and then we close the show.
Yeah, Ugandans that are watching us all over the world, it's time for you to come together in the diaspora to start debates of a new Uganda, especially here in Boston where we have so many Ugandans. That's the way forward. We should not complain when we have not produced what to give. That's my message.
All right, Sarah?
For me, my final message would be, I ask every Ugandan, wherever you are, whether back home or here, pass on the message for change to the next person. It could be, you could be in the diaspora and you're saying, how am I going to do it? I'm not back home. But you have relatives. Every time you talk to them, before you send them the $20, $50, talk to them about change. Tell them, because you are going to drown yourself. You work so much, and basically people who live in the diaspora, 80% of the money we make handles problems of what happens in Uganda. Before you save any money, before you plan and say, this money I'm saving, in the middle of the night, they call your mother is dying. Before you do that, your sister is crying. Before you do that, basically you live a life of wondering when is this going to stop. And it's not about to stop unless we make it stop. Because people on their side, everyone is looking at you. Everyone is depending on you. Every problem falls back at you. So as you continue giving back this money to people back home, asking you money for left and right, preach the message of people, preach the message of change. Not only people. And Ugandans back home, everywhere you are, I know the situation is tough that you're not able to pass on the information because people are being abducted right now, people are being arrested for no reason. But if you sit on a border, talk to this guy. Man, you know, you get it, and then the guy will tell you how the situation is, and start the conversation from there. Let's start the conversation from wherever you are. You go for a barrier, you're in the village. Let's start the conversation. Let's talk to the next person. Let's see, do they understand what you're talking about? Right. Do they understand what is going on in the country? Are they desperate for change as much as you are? We need to start the conversation deeply and make every Ugandan understand that it is not by destiny that they're supposed to be in the situation where they are right now. Museveni is not the crowned king of Uganda, that until when he dies, that's when we'll have change. People need to understand. Some people have resorted to believing that, you know what, the situation, it is what it is. Let's, when he wants to go, he will go. When he wants to die, he will die. Let's not look at that as the situation. And let's start the conversation and demand for what is rightfully ours. That is change. All
right, thank you so much. Thank you also the viewers who have been watching us from all over the world. What you're doing is really amazing. But there is one thing I want to leave you with before the week starts. Always remember, politics makes decisions. Your role is to develop yourself and the community around you. Whatever you do should be great to improve your society. Have a great week. See you next Saturday. Keep watching our shows. Coming up next, Love, Sex and Money. Don't miss. Kemo and Kojaka Senge will be in very soon. Have a great weekend. See you next Saturday.
Hey.